In the last week of his life, Johnathan Willette was doing something ordinary. He was moving back in with the mother of his 2 daughters, so the 4 of them, him, her, and the girls, could live under one roof again. By the morning of August 7th, 2023, he was dead. His head has never been found. The woman he was moving in with was already married to his son. Johnathan's mother, Yoko Willette, was staying in the house that night, while Johnathan waited to move into the home of Devyn Michaels, his ex and the mother of his 2 daughters, permanently. Through a Japanese language interpreter, Yoko testified she saw her son and the woman she knew as Nikki together around 10 o'clock that night. She went to sleep.
You said he was packing his truck alone?
彼が一人でそのパッケージしてたんですか? That's correct.
Around 6 p.m.?
6時頃ですね。Yes.
で、8時頃ニッキーが来ました。
And around 8 o'clock, Nikki came.
What did they do after Nikki arrived?
ニッキーが来た後、彼らはどういう行動を取りましたか?
8時頃に2人で出てきました。
Around 8 o'clock, 8 p.m., they both went out.
They both left?
Both left.
Do you know which vehicle they left in?
その時、どちらの車で?
トラック。
By truck.
Okay. You remember what time John and Nikki came back to your
帰ってきたのは何時頃ですか?
10時頃。
Around 10 o'clock.
寝てる時に何か聞こえた。
While she was sleeping, around 2 o'clock, she's not sure, but around 2 o'clock, she's heard some noise.
What type of noise did you hear?
その時の音は何ですか?
ドスンと。結構大きなドスンと。なんか物が落ちたみたいな。
Something like something dropped from the like a shelf, some strange noise.
Okay, was it like a bang?
バンみたいな、そういう感じ。
Something like that.
Okay.
The next thing Yoko Willette remembers is finding her son's body wrapped in a blanket inside the home they shared.
毛布でこう全部ラップされてたんです。それでこうちょっと開けたら足が見えたの。
I went to his bedroom and he was wrapped by the blanket, and then could see that the part of that feet.
The feet. Okay, what did you do next?
その後どうしました?
で、ベッドの方ちょっとこう頭の方に動こうとしたら、動いたらたくさんの血を見たんで、すぐ部屋の方に行って911。
She tried to move the other side of the bed, showing a head side. And then before that, she saw many bloods.
Many blood?
Many bloods.
Before we go further, I'd genuinely like to know, at what point in a story like this do you think the behavior actually becomes visible? Drop a guess in the comments, and let's find out together if you're right. Devyn Michaels was 47 at the time of trial. Before she sold real estate, she worked in adult film under the names Nikki Fairchild and Tracy Tavares. She married Johnathan Willette in 2012. They divorced in 2018, but they had 2 daughters together, and they stayed connected because of it. In 2016, while Johnathan's son Devyn was still a teenager, Devyn and Devyn began a relationship of their own. By the time Johnathan Willette was killed, the woman who used to be married to him was legally married to his son. Devyn Willette was 29. He worked installing home security systems, a job that gave him routine access to power tools, including saws. It's a detail his stepmother's defense attorney would return to more than once. In the months before his death, Johnathan Willette granted sole custody of his 2 daughters. He and Devyn had worked out a plan. He would move into her home in the northwest Las Vegas Valley, and everyone, Johnathan, Devyn, Devyn, and the girls, would live together to give the children a stable family life. Prosecutors would later argue that plan was exactly what Devyn Michaels couldn't tolerate. On the night of August 6th, prosecutors allege Johnathan Willette was killed sometime between 10 p.m. and 2 in the morning inside his mother's Henderson home, where he was staying while he waited to move into Devyn's home. Henderson police reconstructed that night using cell phone data, GPS records, and the data logged automatically by Devyn Michaels' own car. Her phone placed her at Johnathan's home starting around 10 p.m. Her car's internal computer recorded her leaving around 2 a.m. Detective Luke Good testified that Johnathan's phone began moving alongside Devyn's on a drive from his home to hers in the hours after his death.
And the Johnathan Willette number appears to have landed at Porcupine Rim about 2:45.
Yeah, and it's been there.
By 2:45 a.m., both devices were logged at the same address, Devyn Michaels' house. 2 days later, Devyn Michaels' own children found a phone in their driveway. Cracked screen, blood on it. They brought it to police.
We're interviewing
It was
Ms.
Johnathan's.
Michaels. We are engaged in our conversation. To be honest with you, I'm not sure which of the daughters, their names I still get mixed up. She had approached the window and she has the cell phone that we believe is the one we previously saw in the driveway. And she says, "Mommy, here's Daddy's cell phone. That's why he didn't answer." There was a physical reaction from from Devyn, and she takes the phone, she hands it to us, and she made a comment, "This should help you." And then that's pretty much changed the tone a little bit to casual conversations to then it became a little bit more flustered.
Okay. And is it at that point where you noticed the blood on the phone?
Correct.
Her attorney, Robert Draskovich, asked the jury to sit with that detail. If Devyn Michaels was capable of everything prosecutors described, moving a body, disposing of a head, covering a crime scene in chemicals, was she really the kind of person who'd call herself sophisticated and cunning enough to plan all of that and then drop the victim's bloody phone in her own driveway?
Big point was made about the telephone. And we're to believe that Devyn is so sophisticated and so cool and so cunning and so informed that she can murder this guy, decapitate him, not leave any evidence, and then drop his phone in her driveway. You know, a more reasonable explanation, it's tired. She's got girls that are going to school in the morning. She's been carrying things, it's late. She obviously brought the phone. Whether it was knowing or not, we don't know. It appeared that it had fallen on the side. She tries to give an explanation. You recall about the cigarette butts? She didn't know the phone was there. That's why she was calling the phone, following up with Johnathan. She knew he wasn't dead because she didn't kill him. Another thing that was a big point of contention, sometimes little things can have very large implications. Remember the issue about the blood on the screen? Papakostas, the DNA expert, testified that she couldn't confirm that it was blood.
Chief Deputy District Attorney John Giordani had a different read.
And you know what he didn't say, which should be very notable for you? That there were other bleeding injuries on the body, including the hand. Right? Because there weren't. He didn't say that because there weren't any bleeding injuries to the body except for up here. And that's how we know she did it. That droplet of blood, you can go back and forth about the DNA analyst not confirming it's blood. Well, DNA analysts actually look at DNA profiles. And DNA is in every single cell of your body, including your blood. And so no, a DNA analyst is not going to come in here and say, John's blood was on the phone. She's going to say, John's DNA was on the phone because she's a DNA analyst. That's what that is. John's droplet of blood being on that phone convicts the defendant even without her confession. Set those, two confessions actually, because she told the DFS worker she had to do it. But set those aside for a minute. There are no bleeding injuries on his body, except for up here. The phone left at 2:04 with a droplet of blood on it. That means the murder happened before 2:04. It had to. Nothing else would make sense. Nothing else would make sense.
There's a detail that cuts the other way. A Henderson detective testified there was no blood spatter found at the scene where Johnathan Willette was allegedly beheaded, the kind of visible violence you might expect from an attack like this. It's the sort of gap the defense would use to argue the investigation moved faster than the evidence did. When Johnathan Willette's body was found, it had been covered in chemicals. Forensic testimony indicated the decapitation happened after he was already dead, using a knife and a mechanically powered saw. Despite what court filings describe as an extensive search, his head was never recovered. Prosecutors argued the method didn't require unusual strength. Their own expert testified a mechanical saw is built for anyone to operate. From opening statements, the defense offered the jury a different name. Draskevich told the jury Johnathan Willette's own son, Devyn, was the one who killed his father. He pointed to Devyn's job installing home security systems and his access to power saws. He showed the jury intimate photos and messages between Devyn and Devyn, dating back to 2016, when Devyn was still a teenager, a relationship history the jury hadn't been told about before trial. And he pointed to the days before the murder, when Devyn had messaged Devyn, calling him a liar and a cheater, and asking him for a divorce.
You know, when we talk about motive, what drives a person to murder, is it not passion of a young man? His first love? His first love that's coming to an end when dad's coming in and moving him, the dad that he said was never there for him. You know, it's kind of an archetype. You know, the father that's killed by his son. I mean, it's in, I believe it's Isaiah 38:18. We've got these Greek stories of it, Oedipus. I mean, there's various variations of that, but it's an archetype. Saturn. It's known, and it's as old as the human condition. Fathers are sometimes killed by their sons, and that's why we wanted to underscore, and we spent a great deal of time in our opening statement, because we didn't know where it was going to go with Devyn, but we knew that they'd had a relationship that had been kept clandestine. Devyn covered for Devyn, and Devyn covered for Devyn.
He compared the case to 12 Angry Men and asked the jury to let reasonable doubt, not assumption, decide it. Now test that account against the record. A digital forensics examiner named O'Brien reviewed 6 terabytes of discovery.
Which called you to hop onto this case and help us to go through, I believe there's 6 terabytes of discovery on this case to go through? There is a lot. Like that. There's a lot.
Phones, cell towers, and the family's Nissan Armada. Only 3% of the phone app data had been surfaced in the software the department used, which O'Brien herself called problematic. The extractions for all 3 phones, Devyn's, Johnathan's, and Devyn's, were incomplete.
So I found it problematic because over my review and looking at everything, it's only, of all of the apps that are on the phone, the average between the 3 devices was only 3% of the data was displayed and presented with the databases backing it up.
But inside the window that mattered, 10 p.m. to 8 the next morning, no cell tower data placed Devyn's phone anywhere near his father's home. Devyn Willette took the stand and denied any involvement.
Look at me. Did you kill your father?
No, sir.
Did you have any involvement in killing your father?
No, sir.
Did you have any involvement in what happened to his body after?
No, sir.
Detective Good testified investigators interviewed him multiple times during the investigation. They never found phone, video, or GPS evidence putting him at the scene. There was one more piece of tape. Before any of this went to trial, Devyn Michaels sat down with detectives herself, on camera. In that interview, she described massaging Johnathan in his bedroom, then hitting him with something she called candlestick-like. Prosecutors argued she minimized what happened next, telling detectives he kept breathing, even as the physical evidence said otherwise.
Another time. It wasn't like one of them time. It was repeatedly racked over and over. This was a thoughtful process. Put it in there, tie it up. Put it in another bag, tie it up.
Right. Like I said, I didn't realize what I had at the time, and he's saying he won't say, so I'm wrapping everything up and I'm hiding it.
For what reason?
I don't know. He didn't say anything. He gave me this. He says, keep it safe. It was the social security card.
The social security card was in your black backpack.
Right. I didn't even get a chance to put that away.
So you take that, put that in this not safe spot. The only thing that he asked you to keep safe, you keep in your backpack. But the stuff that you were not supposed to take, you wrapped up 8 separate times in a bag, in bags, and then hid that.
No, do you not understand?
No, I don't.
I got home. It was late. I showered. I went to bed. That was it. In the morning, I would have sorted through everything. I would have talked to John, and everything would have been figured out.
None of that makes sense. As you
None of it
said,
makes any sense to me at all.
okay, if you said anybody else, the jury, the judge, or the general public, to believe anything what you're saying,
Because I don't understand any of it. You guys are asking me questions about what I did.
what does that look like to you? You don't know?
No. This is John.
That's this Johnathan when I saw him?
Yeah, but he had his boxers on.
But they got his office on.
I don't know, he had his boxers on. His boxers were black boxer briefs. He had boxer briefs on.
That's what I'm talking about. This shit's getting real. Keep looking at that. Take another look at this. This is reality we're talking about. Think long and hard about your decisions on how you go forward and explain the bullshit that you're giving us right now. Nobody's going to believe you.
I understand.
And tell us where the object is that you used to do this. Tell us where it's at. Who did?
I don't know.
That's not good enough. You did that.
I did.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Then prove it.
How do we prove that?
Because you were the last person to see him alive. And you were the last person with him. You did that. That's reality. Look at that picture. He's gone.
One more detail belongs here, not because it convicted her, but because of how it surfaced. A detective testified outside the presence of the jury that Michaels had indicated she had thrown Johnathan's head in the trash near her home. The jury that convicted her never heard that specific statement. It's part of the public record. The head itself has still never been found. Closing arguments came on November 14, 2025, after 2 weeks of testimony.
I also think it's important to highlight Devyn and the defendant's relationship, Devyn's relationship. Devyn is a master manipulator, and that is shown through the evidence. This is a woman in her late 30s that decided to begin a sexual relationship with her 19-year-old stepson, who had just lost his virginity. I'm not going to get up here and say that the 19-year-old teenage boy, this wasn't his dream to be with Devyn Michaels, who was an older, more sexually experienced woman. But what I am going to say is that the defendant is the one running the show here.
Griffith returned to a question raised more than once during trial, whether a woman could have physically carried out a decapitation alone.
There's a lot of discussion during trial about whether it's possible for a woman to do this. I think it's important to note, as Dr. Burns highlighted, a mechanical saw is made for anyone. Women can do anything. especially ones that have a clear motive.
Prosecutors describe the killing itself as calculated. Michaels getting up, retrieving an object, and striking Johnathan while he lay unawares, and called the act unfathomable. The 14-member jury deliberated for 2 hours. They found Devyn Michaels guilty of first-degree murder with the use of a deadly weapon.
The clerk will now read the verdict into the record.
District Court, Clark County, Nevada. State of Nevada plaintiff versus Devyn Jade Michaels, a.k.a. Devyn Willette, a.k.a. Nikki Fairchild, a.k.a. Tracy Baker, a.k.a. Tracy Nicole Tavares, defendant. Case number C-23-377239-1, Department 10. Verdict. We, the jury, in the above entitled case, find the defendant, Devyn Jade Michaels, as follows. Count 1, murder with use of a deadly weapon. Guilty of first-degree murder with use of a deadly weapon. Dated this 14th day of November, 2025, signed Aaron Gilded. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, is this your verdict as read? So say you one, so say you all?
Yes.
It wasn't Devyn Michaels' first time facing this outcome. Months earlier, she had pled guilty to second-degree murder in a deal that would have made her eligible for parole after 15 years. At the sentencing hearing for that plea in July 2025, she apologized to the Willette family and then, in the same breath, said she was innocent. The judge sent the case to trial. On January 8, 2026, Clark County District Court Judge Tiara Jones sentenced Devyn Michaels to 20 years to life for the murder, plus a consecutive 8 to 20 years for the deadly weapon enhancement. 28 years to life total. She won't be eligible for parole until she's approximately 70. Michaels spoke briefly.
Ms. Michaels, what, if anything, would you like to say before I pronounce sentence against you?
At this point, I just feel that anything I say, it won't. The family's looking for certain things and I cannot deliver what the family's looking for. And they're here and I just want them to get their, at least part of their anger out. I know no matter what I say, they're still gonna feel the same way. So just let them have their time and that's all I can say.
Johnathan Willette moved his life back toward his daughters because he believed proximity would make his family whole. The record the jury saw suggests the same proximity is what the evidence says undid him. Nothing about the arrangement looked unstable from the outside. A custody plan, a move-in date, 2 adults trying to build one home for 2 kids. The instability was already inside that house. It had been for years, quietly rearranged into a shape nobody outside the family recognized as dangerous until the night it was.